Insurance premiums and deductibles are skyrocketing. Policy benefits are being diluted, and the Texas Supreme Court has characterized the claims process as, quote, adversarial. It seems like you can't watch TV, listen to the radio, or browse the internet without an insurance company advertisement pontificating security and savings for policyholders. In reality, when disaster strikes, many insurance companies delay paying claims to help themselves financially by deploying effective and often legal strategies designed to frustrate property owners and lead the policyholder to concede to a grossly undervalued settlement long after the damage is done. Today, I want to share the importance of public insurance adjusters and how every property owner can avoid a second disaster with your insurance company after your property has already been damaged. The number one question I get asked is, what is a public insurance adjuster? A public insurance adjuster is essentially a private insurance adjuster licensed by the State Department of Insurance who works solely on the behalf of a policyholder, not an insurance company. Like attorneys, public adjusters typically work on contingency. Policyholders need to be aware that when you're paying your premium to your insurance company, you're considered an asset. However, when you have a claim for damages, you become a liability for an insurance company. Insurance companies have adjusters who represent their interests and manage their liabilities. It's their job. Policyholders need to be aware that they carry the burden of proving their claim to an insurance company, but knowing your rights, duties, and how to prove your coverage for your claim damages under your policy can be quite an undertaking. In fact, it can feel like a second job that consumes your life. Insurance companies that delay claims may experience a number of benefits as it puts policyholders under undue pressure who may be dealing with mounting bills for property damage and other expenses. These policyholders may feel forced to accept a lower settlement for cents on the dollar instead of continuing to negotiate with insurance companies for an extended period. That's what they're banking on. We believe that all parties to an insurance policy need to comply with the terms of the contracts and report, evaluate, and assess all claims in good faith and in a timely fashion. In fact, not only do we expect that of insurance companies, we demand it. A policyholder doesn't need a public adjuster on every claim. However, when a claim is large or complex in nature, or there is a repair versus replacement dispute, or if your gut just tells you that something's just not right, our advice is do not wait to get help. A policyholder who doesn't have representation puts themselves in a position that's similar to having the IRS prepare your tax return. You wouldn't do that now, would you? The secret to getting your fair and prompt insurance claim settlement from your insurance company is based on facts, documentation, information that supports your claim. Don't forget, policyholders have the burden of proof. However, if an insurance company wants to assert an exclusion applies, they must meet that burden, not you. So don't be afraid to ask questions. The biggest challenge that many insurance policyholders have is they don't know what questions to ask. They don't know how to read an estimate or an engineer report or even their policy. Very few people have read their policy cover to cover, and very few even understand what they read. That's why a good public adjuster is authorized to negotiate and interpret policy and can compel an insurance company to actually perform. Now, a lot of people ask, well, I've got a contractor. Why can't I use them to do everything? They tell me that they deal with insurance claims all the time. Great question, and we hear that a lot. The truth is that in most states, contractors are vendors in the eyes of the insurance world. If you think about it, it makes sense. When you buy a policy, it's between you and your insurance company. The vendor or the contractor is not a party to the contract. As a licensed public insurance adjuster, we have authority to step into the shoes of the policyholder and act on your behalf. So, If you want to have the authority and the credibility to get the traction you need to get your insurance company to perform and consider all the evidence that supports your claim, you need to have a good public insurance adjuster. Now, a lot of people ask, well, why don't I just sue? Well, you can. There's no one to stop you. My advice, though, is this. You need to know that a lawsuit can be very stressful. It can take a lot of time. Most insurance attorneys charge in the neighborhood of 40%. Now, we charge in the neighborhood of 10%. The time frame takes about 6 months on average to settle a large loss for a public adjuster. The other thing is this. If you as a policyholder retain a good public adjuster and you make reasonable attempts to avoid litigation, that holds a lot of credibility. Why not try to get it settled with a good public adjuster instead of prolonging it with a lengthy lawsuit, which could always be appealed if you end up going to trial? Now, I'm not trying to say don't hire an attorney. Absolutely not. But what I am saying is make the best reasonable effort that you possibly can on your own or with a licensed professional public adjuster that lays out all the background of events, the facts, the damages, an estimate, a proof of loss, a demand for payment, your own expert engineer reports, etc., etc. In other words, level the playing field so that most of the time, a good 90% of our claims settle without going to litigation. So our advice is do what you can to avoid unnecessary litigation. In fact, our MO is avoid it like the plague if you can. There are circumstances where a policyholder does have to file suit simply because they have no other options. In these cases where a policyholder has submitted all their documentation and argued and presented all of their facts and they are forced to sue, then you need to hire an attorney. That is why there are bad faith laws that almost every state puts in place to avoid insurance companies from taking advantage of consumers and policyholders like you.